So when I go out and I pick nettles and I bring them home, sometimes I'll dry half of them that I pick and the rest will use in lasagna or soup or something in the springtime. Very high in iron, high in vitamin D, vitamin A, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, highest source of plant iron. It is like superfood. Like people have gone out and they spend all this money on those little blue-green algae capsule or something, some kind of miracle super vitamin or something, and little do they know something much more nutritious and really tasty is growing for free in their backyards. It's very common. So I really recommend you go out and try some now. Of course, it can be used for all sorts of reasons medicinally as well, tincturing and all this. But you know, to me, this is the quintessential example, all along with dandelion and lamb's quarter, as food as your medicine, as staying healthy by eating foods that are packed full of vitamins and minerals. You know, these days, even in organic farms and stuff, it's not even necessarily guaranteed that you're going to have the vitamin and mineral content that plants once had. But we have the best chance with the wild plants, the wild herbs that are out there, and nettles is one that you can do so much. Now people are like, well, what does the sting go away? Yes, when you fold it in on itself, you can even eat it raw by taking a leaf like this on its top. I'm going to pick a leaf right behind me. Okay, and then I'm going to actually fold it in on itself. Oops. So I can pick a leaf behind me. Maybe I should leave that in because it would be funny. And then fold it in on itself like this. I pick the top of it, fold it in on itself, crushing it, because I'm crushing it, the moisture deactivates the acid. Or yuck, I don't know if that's the great word, but and then I can take that and I eat that right up. See, there's a raw stinging nettle. When you boil it, simmer it, or steam it, or whatever, that dissipates and goes away. It could just be a steamed green. Put a little butter, put a little cheese over it. Just eat it as a raw. I mean, not raw, but steam it and put it on your plate along with your favorite dishes. It can go in any recipe where spinach it could be used, for example. Lasagnas, quiches. You don't need a special Wild Foods book recipe. Just substitute it. Pesto. The list goes on and on. You can find wonderful recipes and remedies. It's strong hair, build strong hair. You can make the nettle infusions and even wash your hair, rinse your hair with it. It's one of those herbs you have every day with dried nettle as an nourishing herbal infusion. You get all of that nourishment within you. So I think of nourishment and food as medicine when I think of the medicine of nettle, more so than probably a lot of other things you can do with it as well. It's yet another example of an herb you can spend a lifetime studying, but yet one to get to know for sure as soon as possible and identify. And it's not hard to identify. If you get stung, that's it. So once again, let's take a little closer look again at stinging nettle. Just wanted to point out again that usually I'd be in a field or a forest edge here next to nettle. It's just that it's a time of year it is where right now it's real big and high and spindly and not the kind of size or time in its life cycle when you want to pick. But they just so happen to be growing some at this farm, and I was doing some other taping, so I said, hey, why not add this? So let's take a closer look. You know, this would be growing all right next to each other. Of course, this is on a farm, and they planted it all next to each other in a nice, neat row. But usually you wouldn't see it quite like that. But we can still look at the plant. You just know it's nettle. Just look at that. Look at the pattern. Look at the way the teeth on the leaves are. You can see the hairs. Now, here's an example of it flowering. Now, look at the flowers and how they come out of underneath, by the bracts, underneath the opposite leaves there. And when it's at that point, I don't necessarily want to pick it anymore. But if we go over to this one that I don't see flowering, I can take that and now if I see this in the springtime growing out in the field, it's going to be, it might be that high, but it's going to be more space in between the leaves. It's going to be easy for me to put my hand in there and just go and break that off. Just flick of the wrist, and it'll snap. You don't need to pull. You're going to pull the whole plant out. Snap of the wrist. Count 1, 2, 3, sometimes maybe 4, but usually 3 in that early spring. You know, usually you're looking about, at least when they get about this high, they'll have a reddish tinge to them, and you go there, snap them off, before you know it, you get it. What's nice about this is that when these grow higher, you know, when I pick them, they'll grow back, and they'll even sometimes grow in two. So often by like branching out. So often by harvesting, we're making more. It's a good example of sustainable wildcrafting, an herb that we can pick and pick and pick, and we're not at all harming the plant stand. We're not taking more than we can use. We're actually encouraging the growth. And nettles, of course, many other uses, like you can make compost tea and it help. You know, you can do a lot of things with it. So Healing Wise by Susan Weed, excellent reference, and even look in an Herbalpedia entry of stinging nettle.